everyone, it's Maddie.
And V, and today we've decided that we're going to try and read as much as we can over the next 2 days. We've already started books, so our first aim is to get those finished and then we'll be moving on to new things, but we're not counting books read, but rather pages total.
So I'm starting off by trying to finish This Savage Song by V. Schwab, which I started last night and managed to read all that I read in one sitting because I'm absolutely loving this, and so many people are picking this up recently because of our Dark Duet coming soon.
And I've chosen How Hard Can Love Be by Holly Bourne, and I'm only 60 pages through this, but I'm hoping to really power through. This is one of the books I picked for my Books to Read in 2017 TBR, and it's about time I finally got around to one. We haven't picked a rigid TBR for this because we were more going to go for the mood of what we were feeling in the moment, but we have got some graphic novels on the go so that our pace changes and we can try and read as much as we can without losing steam.
So we'll keep you updated throughout the day of our reading progress. So it's just past 11 AM and I finished reading This Savage Song, and I really loved it, and it was kind of surprising because I never know if fantasy is going to be my thing. It's always more of B's, so I love it when I find books like this. I'm going to give it 4 stars because I really enjoyed the first half, but then the second half, when it was actually getting quite fast paced, I felt kind of lost. But it was still a great book and I absolutely adored the characters and the world. It was giving me Twilight vibes and Warm Bodies and a bit of Vampire Academy at the end as well. It was just a really nice combination of all the things I've previously enjoyed, so I can't wait to read the second book now.
I'm roughly halfway through How Hard Can Love Be now, and I can't say I'm enjoying it, much to my disappointment. The first 120 pages, Amber is just either drunk or hungover, which is not something I can relate to. The whole concept of this book is that Amber goes over to America, which is where her mum has emigrated to, and she's helping out at a summer camp for 6 weeks. So I found it kind of tedious to get through the whole tomato conversation, and then Amber practically freezes and winces every time there's an Americanism. So she freaks out when her mum uses the word awesome or calls her hun, which is a very southwest of England thing to call someone. So when she was like, oh, that's so American, I was like, no, you'll literally be called hun anytime you're in the Southwest. Saving grace for the first book was the conversations between the 3 girls, the Spinster Club. And I'm kind of missing that, and so far we're just getting a few email or Skype exchanges, but because they're not like all there and it's not focusing on their voices, I'm like not as interested. I've still got half the book to go though, so we'll see if it picks up.
So it's 11:45 now, and I've just started my second book, which is Sister's Fate by Jessica Spotswood. I'm 72 pages through and I'm really loving it so far because it's all about sister witches, and because me and B have been watching a lot of Charmed recently, it was one of the box sets we got for our birthday, I'm all about the power of 3 at the moment. I'm about to take a break though to start closed captioning some of our videos because since revision and exams we've got very behind in it and have quite a few to do. So it'll still be productive but not necessarily reading, so hopefully I'll be reinvigorated to start reading again after I've done some of those.
So it's just about 2 o'clock and I'm so close to finishing this. I'll do it in my next sitting and then I'm going to move on to the next book, which is What's a Girl Gotta Do.
So I'm still as far as I was in Sister's Fate as well, so I don't know if I'm going to finish this in my next session as I've got quite a lot left to read, but I think after this I'm going to move on to Etiquette and Espionage because I see it over there and that's all I want to pick up right now, but I want to stay dedicated to this because I don't think I've given it enough of a chance yet. I also thought that I knew what had happened in the second book way more than I actually do, and obviously jumping into a series when it's been about a year since I read the second book is a little bit hard. I feel very lost right now, but hopefully it'll all come flooding back to me soon. Yeah, so basically just reading this makes me want to watch more Charmed, which we
all I
can't
want to do is watch Charmed.
So maybe we'll do some of that in the evening or something to break it up. So now it's 10 AM on Sunday and we did quite a bit of reading in the evening that we didn't document, so I got to page 160 in Sister's Fate, but then for some reason it wasn't really a book that I wanted to read all in one go, so I decided to pick up Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carringer, which was one of the 5 books I wanted to read in 2017. It's a series that's been on B's shelf for a really long time and probably one of the first books we bought when we started our booktube channel. It's very similar to The Gallagher Girls by Ali Carter but set in the 19th century, and I really enjoyed it once I got past all the faux British accents. It's also a 4-book series, so it's one that I'm definitely going to be continuing with, as I feel like this one was just a find your feet first book where we got an introduction to all the characters, but I'm looking forward most to seeing how they progress throughout the series. So yesterday I managed to read the whole 312 pages of Etiquette and Espionage, and I read 160 pages of Sister's Fate. This morning I read another 100 pages of this, so I only have 100 left to go. I also picked up the 4th volume of Giant Days, which was one of the graphic novels we got for our birthday. This is probably our favourite graphic novel series ever. It's about these 3 best friends all going to the same university, and this one was mostly about them trying to find a house for second year, and it felt very authentic to our own experience, which was so much fun. And seeing as I didn't really like the 3rd one as much as the first 2, I'm really pleased to say that I enjoyed the 4th one, maybe even the most out of the lot.
So yesterday, after reading How Hard Can Love Be, I picked up What's a Girl Got to Do straight away, and I read about 300 pages, so I only had 120 to go in the morning, which I finished before 9, so that's an accomplishment. This is probably my favourite of the series because it's the most feminist of the 3 of them, and feminism is definitely more in the marketing for this one. It's not that I didn't like Lottie or Amber's story, but this, I think, is the power of feminism that I was expecting, and you don't really get that in the first 2, or not with this as a comparison. There's a note at the back where Holly says she's sad that she didn't get to talk about feminism and race, or feminism and sexuality, and I just think with 3 books that are about white, straight protagonists, surely there was room for a bit more diversity in character. Although each book has like a slightly different theme, with Evie being OCD and then Amber dealing with an alcoholic parent, I felt like there wasn't as much differentiation between the 3 girls, and their stories sort of slipped into one when it came to the feminism side of things. So I kind of want Holly Bourne to start a feminism anthology with a bunch of different diverse UKYA authors, where a bit more of a conversation about feminism and race and feminism and sexuality can be discussed. Still, I gave this one 3 stars because I thought it was super powerful. I picked up the 4th volume of Lumberjanes, which I'm pretty sure we got for Christmas, so it's been on our shelf for a really long time, and I was mostly saving it for a readathon, so I got to pick it up now. We also have the 5th one, but I don't think I'm going to move on to it straight away, just because I don't feel as excited about Lumberjanes anymore. I feel like it's slightly slipped in quality, especially the 3rd book, which was way more episodic and didn't have like that fantasy fun arc that the first book has. I thought this one was good in the way that it focused more on Jen because she's an underrated character in the beginning of the series, but I just want this to be more character based rather than plot based, which sounds kind of crazy because I think the plot is slipping slightly, but I want more for the characters because I feel like they're types, but we definitely don't get to know them as well as I would want to, especially by the 4th book in the series. I'm going to take a little break from reading to go back to closed captioning the video because I have our April wrap up to do, which is 21 minutes long, so that's going to take forever. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to pick up next because I rewatched our 5 books to read in 2017 video, a link will be in the cards, and Maddie has read 4 out of her 5 and I've only read 1 by reading How Hard Can Love Be, so I feel like I almost need to go back and prioritise those. So I was going to pick up the One Memory of Flora Banks to go with my summer TBR, but I might end up picking up Fearsome Dreamer and read that duology to A, get another series done, and to B, keep ticking things off on that 2017 TBR.
So it's now 6 PM on Sunday and I finally finished Sister's Fate by Jessica Spotswood, and I'm not going to tell you that much about it because obviously it's the last book in a series and I don't want to spoil an amazing trilogy, but I will say that it was completely satisfying. I love when a series like this takes risks and makes you feel emotional and gives you closure without giving you a completely happy ending. I really liked how all the relationships were managed and how they progressed. I just felt that all the characters were different people to who they were at the beginning of the series, and I think that's how you can tell if a book has done its job. I also really grew to love Kate as a protagonist. She didn't really stand out to me in the first 2 books, but I really liked her strength and how she was dealing with all of these terrible situations and taking control. Overall, this is a really underrated series, so if you see Born Wicked around, which is the first book, I couldn't recommend you picking it up more, especially if you love supernatural, historical fiction, romance, sister relationships. There's so much to get out of this series.
I just want this series to continue until these 3 girls graduate, and I'm so looking forward to whatever happens over the summer in between their first and second year, because it looks like they've got some money saved up for some crazy adventures, so I'm hoping for some sort of like European tour, because I think that would be full of fun. After that, I decided to pick up the One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr, because this one was only 300 pages. I'm 76 pages through at the moment, but I think I'm going to take a break from it because it's very repetitious just because Flora's always always reminding herself of things, so it's kind of hard to get into because the story doesn't feel like it's moving. It's always like one step forward and then two steps back. So I might put this on pause for a little bit and pick up Fearsome Dreamer by Laurie. There are only 2 books in this series, so hopefully I can marathon them together. This one's a little longer at 357 pages, but I've been really looking forward to reading it for a really long time because it's one of Maddie's favourite books. However, I did read The Graces by Law Eve last year and thought the writing was like atrociously cliche, and I'll get like 50 pages through and then maybe swap back and kind of do an exchange thing. So yesterday we each finished another book, so my choice ended up being The One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr,
and mine was Under Rose-Tainted Skies by Louise Gornall.
I did like this story in the end, even though I felt it took a long time to get to the actual point, and things kept like flipping over and then flipping again, which I'm not entirely convinced was successful, but I did enjoy the story. I just don't think I'd give it any more than 3 stars.
If ever this book came up in a video, a lot of the comments of that video would be saying how great it was, so I went in with quite high expectations, and after learning that this was an Own Voices story, I was really excited to see how authentic the mental health portrayal would be, and that's the part of the story that I was really, really pleased with. It's probably the best portrayal of OCD and self-harm I've ever seen. But my main problem with it was that Nora felt like exactly the same character at the start and at the end. I didn't really see much character development with her, and although the romance not aiding the mental health at all was a good thing, I felt like more could have happened there. But the saving grace was definitely the relationship that she had with her mum. She was so sympathetic, as were all of her medical professionals, and that was just lovely to read. So I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. I also picked up Fearsome Dreamer at the end and managed to read like 72 pages, and I was dipping in and out of this one whilst I was reading The One Memory, so this will feature in my wrap-up where I can share my thoughts once I've finished. And I read the first 100 pages of Bloodlines by Rochelle Mead, which is the start of a new series with new characters, and I wasn't really sure that I'd like it because it takes all of my least favourite characters from the Vampire Academy series, but I'm really excited to get to know them in a new context.
So to recap, we each managed to read 3 whole books and then started another one. We both read Giant Days and I read the 4th volume of Lumberjanes.
Overall, I managed to read 1,200 pages.
And I read 1,277.
So thank you everyone so much for watching this video, and if you have any thoughts on the books that we read during this mini readathon, then let us know in the comments.
We'll see you on our next video.
Bye!